All right, so we're going to talk about writing assessment task. Writing an assessment essay in a successive draft with checklists to guide evaluation is one general category of writing assessment. So there are many, like, why is this like that? I wonder if that's because I'm using a Japanese computer. But anyways, there are many more like categories of writing assessment. So this guy describes over 50 different writing techniques, all of which can have an assessment component. Consider the following writing tasks. So we are going to see a number of tasks that you could do, listed according to their level of linguistic complexity, which may stimulate your own creativity. So the other thing that I want to tell you is that when you are saying these things, they are not for you to follow them. Even at UNAM, like whatever module that you are given, you don't need to follow those as exactly as they are. You have room to be creative, to make things work for your context, because there's no one right answer. All right, that's why I'm exposing to you to so many of these of these examples, and encouraging you to be creative and make things work for your context. All right, next. Okay, so we are going to look at different types. So item types for assessment writing. So we have got imitative writing. So this imitative writing, okay, some of it can work for our students, but some of it is basically for beginners. For example, this one, exercise in handwriting, writing letters, that's not for us. We don't need that. Keyboard writing, also typing exercises, okay, that can work. Copying, that could possibly work, but we don't copy as much because we encourage our learners to be as creative with language as well. But practicing the type of, or the genre type of genre type that we are teaching them. And then we've got listening close selection tasks. So they listen and then they write. Okay, so they that could also work for our students. And then picture cue writing exercises. So there are pictures and then they need to write about the pictures. So to inspire ideas, or if you want them to write in a certain way that you have taught them and they need to demonstrate that, then it has to happen there in this type of activity. Completing forums and questionnaire forums, because I've been attending a lot of forums. Completing forms and questionnaire. This is a normal way of, not normal, but it's an expectation for our learners to know how to do this, because it's also part of the syllabus. Even some of these activities that I'm telling you, you can use them to achieve the objectives and competencies that are stipulated in the syllabus. Converting numbers and abbreviation into words and phrases, possibly it could be done. Spelling task, yes, we have that. One word diction task, yeah, we could do that, but for the most part we don't do, especially this the last one, we don't do that as much anymore because we want to use language communicatively. All right, unless maybe there are you want them to concentrate on words that are confusing, or that the pronunciation is confused. Do you understand? Then maybe then you could do that. For example, in things like there. Okay, we have got, okay, there something, their book, there. So where is it? There. What else? We have there, there's. Okay, theirs. So which means it's theirs. So this is their book, and then whose book is this? Is theirs. All right. So pronunciation like that, then maybe you can do activities like that. So whatever that is, what do you say, confused, then you can do a one word diction task. And also, what else? Yeah, that's just an example. And then we have got intensive or control writing. So diction of phrases. I'm so sorry. I'm like, why is this like that? So diction of phrases or simple sentences, so that we do. Or dictocom, which is rewriting the story that was just heard. So that's another way of doing activities. Grammatical transformation exercises, so transforming the grammatical forms that you want your learners to concentrate on. Picture description of task, so picture description of tasks. No, not of, but picture description tasks. And then we have got use of vocabulary in sentences. Yeah, that's also a good activity that you can do. Ordering task, so reordering a list of words in a random order. So for example, you have got ordering task. So we have got you have a sentence, for example, you cut them into pieces like noun, verb, blah, 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 or whatever, however way you want to cut it into pieces. And then you mix them up, you jumble them, and then after that you have your students put those sentences into correct order. So that's an example of the ordering task. Short answer task. All right, that's clear. Sentence completion task, that's also another way that you can do that is intensive and controlled. Like you want them to focus on certain aspects, so which means that you really control so much of what they do. All right, and it's called intensive or controlled writing. And then next, responsive writing. So responsive writing could be, some of the example could be paraphrasing, guided writing, so they get questions and then they answer. Paragraph construction task, so there you have them write paragraphs whereby they need to write the topic sentence where they express the main idea, and then we've got supporting sentences and providing examples, and then concluding sentence. All right, and then we've got responding to a reading or a lecture. All right, so responding, so after they have read something or they've listened to something, then they respond. It could be, let's say, maybe there will be a task to write a letter responding to the mayor who gave the lecture, or respond to the events that are happening, that they've read and they are happening, so they are writing an article to the newspaper, responding to whatever, like their reaction, for example. So that's what we have. And then next we have got extensive writing. So extensive, so it's extensive like all right, longer writing, extensive writing. So essay writing task in types of writing, so it could be narrative, description, argument, etc. All right, and then we have got task in genre of writing. Could be lab report, opinion, essays, research paper. So that could be also some of the things that they will do. That is like extensive, longer texts or longer writing pieces that they need to work on. And then what do we have next? All right, so to sum up what we have just covered so far in the other slides, but not everything, but it's just some, like, it's of paramount importance. Like, it's very important to be absolutely clear in your designing of your assessment task in writing about what you are trying to assess, why you are testing written performance. So the concept of formative assessment is prominent in the course that uses the process approach to writing, and our assessment should serve the purpose of facilitating improvement in students and learners' written work, and judgment of the final product should occur only when such summative evaluation is warranted. So that is now to say, like, you have to think about what type of assessment do you really need to do, and then you also need to think about the objectives from the syllabus. That's the one that always guides what type of assessment that you need to do and what type of tasks that you're going to do in the classroom. All right, so that should guide you always. Writing instruction in a communicative, interactive language course should be deeply rooted in the 8 principles of language learning and teaching that have formed a train of thoughts throughout this book. So we have seen, like, we have different types of we have different principles of teaching, right, in general. And then you have to follow those, okay? And then you should also use your common sense when you are teaching. That's the other. And then when we teach and we expect our learners to write, it should be at this level, the level of communication and interaction, all right? So it should be communicative and interactive language usage in the class. So they should use it to communicate and basically in general. And then as you think about each principle, you can make the connection, all right? Make the connections. Automaticity, so being able to write fluently without thinking too much, or I don't know, like just without worrying too much about writing, it will develop fluency in writing. So automaticity, which can best be promoted through the multiple stages of process writing. So if you want them to automatically being able to write well, then you should, especially to write well, they should get into the habit of process writing, especially their own writing. And if you want them to go through this process writing, I know in the classroom we don't have enough time to cover all these different stages of writing, as we have seen, like the brainstorming, drafting, another draft, and then involving peer review or all kind of evaluation. Do you understand? You might not finish doing everything in the classroom, so for them to practice more process writing, so they practice first in the classroom process writing, but then the rest of the stages, for instance, or another type of writing that they do, they can write outside the classroom. But that's not the only thing that they need to do, but they should also also learn to write using the product process, because during the examination and all this timed, even in the test, they don't always have that chance of process writing, but they need to write faster to finish this product that is going to be assessed. All right. And then also when it comes to process writing, because, okay, for instance, in grade 8, 9, and okay, it's not 10 anymore, so grade 8 and 9, they do continuous assessment. That's where most of the time process writing could be applied for the most part. Even in our senior secondary, it can also be applied for sure, and it's good skills to have as students, because that is very necessary. It's necessary for them for real life, because in real life we don't do not always product writing. So all these regulative, okay, this is not really important. I mean, it's necessary. Please read it on your own, because I want us to cover the most, like, super important aspects. Writing lesson example for what can you do in a writing class. So here you can see that, okay, before they start writing, they do this activity of like going over how to write the paragraph, problem solution paragraph. So that's what they go through. Okay, let's just cover it quickly. And then there's a transcript that they need, and then something that they read, and then they answer, like to practice what they've just learned, like what is the topic sentence and all that kind of stuff. And then now focused writing, so introducing problems and solutions. And so they carry out this activity for focused writing, just to focus on certain aspects of what they were taught, because obviously in the end they are going to write a problem solution paragraph. So this is activity to practice what they've just learned about that. And then we've got integrated writing. So this is where the writing is going to happen. So there's a problem and then they need to come up with a solution. So here is the information, so different solutions. Just to give them, you give them content to like stimulate their minds. And then they do these activities. Okay, they do this first they do these activities to just help them. And then in the end, they are going to end up writing the problem solution paragraph, where they have to write topic, sentence, body, and conclusion. But they are going to write about the problem that they've read about and the solutions that they are going to provide, and some conclusion on the ideas that they have spoken about in their paragraph. All right, so far, do you have questions? Any questions? No? All right, let's move on. So now we're going to look at the objectives and competencies for writing skills in the NSSCO syllabus. So unfortunately, we don't have enough time, really, like in general, that the syllabus, okay, the syllabus that we are, not syllabus, but the course description of teaching methods right now, the focus has always been this. But I think in the future, it's going to look at all the different syllabus. But this doesn't mean that, okay, since you just have mainly focused on this, then you neglect the others. No, you don't do that. You have to acquaint yourself with the other syllabus and see how you could use, because the principle behind teaching writing can apply to all the other syllabi. I'm supposed to say syllabuses, but yeah, syllabus or syllabi. Now, moving on. So here we have got the different objectives. And then I think objectives and competencies. And then here you can see develop, organize, produce ideas into coherent sentences, paragraphs, and whole texts. And then write a variety of texts using effective words, choices, and sentence structure form. So you can see here, okay, here we have got now different, more information on how to develop this objective, and like the use of graphic organizer. We've spoken a lot about that. And then you should also teach them how to write, organize ideas and sentences and paragraphs in logical sequences. So which means you as a teacher, you need, you need to know how to do this. And by the way, I'll give you a tip. Nowadays in interviews, what they talk about in interviews, what do they talk about? What do they ask you about? They ask you about the content. Like, how can you teach students how to develop, organize, produce ideas in a coherent sentence, paragraph, or whole text? Or maybe how? Give us an example of activities that you can do to help teachers write and organize ideas, sentences, and paragraphs in a logic sequence. So you have to think on your feet. All right? What type of activities would you give them that will allow them to do this? Do you understand? So people have changed the way they do carry out interviews. Because I was talking to my fourth year students. Yeah, my fourth year students. I don't know. Okay, I hope you're right. But Peter was telling us, or was telling his group mates, that when it comes to, because he's working now, but he's just doing his research. Everything else he's finished, he's just doing his research. He said that when he was interviewed, they asked him about content. All right, they asked him about content rather than just generic questions. Okay, and then you also need to know, the learners need to know how to write all this kind of writing. For example, emails, blogs, reports, essay, narrative, argumentative, and all that kind of stuff. So we have all these things you need to know as a teacher, you need to know, you need to train yourself, you need to read up on these things, on how to do them. And then we've got diary and journal entries. So different kinds of, let's see. Albertina was writing, what happened? And then also they need to know, so students will be able to write a variety of text using effective word choices, sentence structures, and forms. Oh, that's just a continuation. Differentiate between written, spoken forms. So differentiating, and then these are the competencies to kind of carry out this objective. Use appropriate vocabulary in different contexts and situations. So we have got there. And then show competency in the use of spelling and punctuation. So you need to know like the different punctuations and how they are used, because you need to teach your learners how to do that. Use capital letters correctly. So which means as an English teacher, you have to work on your own writing. You have to work on your own English so that you'll be able to train the learners. So you cannot just sit back and hope that you'll survive in the profession without knowing some of these things. And then last but not least, show competencies in the use of spelling and punctuation. Oh, it continues. So possessive cases, fractions, a quarter of, 1/3. Apply spelling of words in continuous tenses. So that's what we have there. You have to know, I mean, the learners need to know all these things. You need to train them on how to use all, I mean, they need to know these objectives. They should attain these objectives, all right, so that they can do well in the examination, and also just in life in general when they graduate. The different type of writing, like if they know how to write, it's going to help them when they do their assignments. Do you understand? And if they don't go to university or vocational school, then when they go into work, some of these expectations are high, unless it's like a technical job where they don't need to write. Assessment. Assessment. So during the examination, this is what the learners are going to be assessed on. It's probably the network. I know I should know better. Thank you, Soren. They should know this because they are going to be assessed about these objectives, and they should be able to demonstrate, they should be able to communicate information, ideas, opinions clearly, accurately, and effectively, or organize ideas into coherent paragraphs using a different range of correct linking words, so connectors, and then use variety of grammatical structures and vocabulary accurately and effectively, not just write simple sentences but complex sentences, and using a variety of vocabulary. So that's what they need to do. And then show control of punctuation and spelling, all right, and then use appropriate register style format to give for the given purpose. Okay, so that's what they need to know, because they'll be assessed on this, so they need to demonstrate all this. So examination tasks. So for the writing paper, I mean, this is part of paper 1, which is reading and writing. So the writing part, this is the writing part. They will do 2 tasks only in writing. The first one is guided, and then the other one is extended writing, so longer pieces of writing. Okay, so here you can see that they write 100 to 150 words. Here they write 200 to 250 words. And in task 1, they write, and they get 15 points. And then, yes, grade 11. It is grade 11. So we have got grade 10. Yeah, grade 10 to grade 11. Yes. And then they write, the extended writing is out of 25, and then this is 35 for the writing. Because the reading itself has its own points, writing has its own points. Okay, this is all part of the reading and writing paper 1. So in the guided writing, what do the learners need to do? Candidates write approximately 100 to 150 words of continuous prose. It could be either a letter, it could be an email, a report, article in response to a short stimuli. So they'll be given something, a short stimuli, something that will guide them in what to write in this type of writing. And then it could be which may include pictures, all right, and 3 prompts. Okay, so prompt is like guiding what they need to write about. The questions will include information on the purpose, so why are they writing what they are writing, what format, and who is the audience, because all that is going to guide how they are going to write. So if they are writing a letter to a friend, so they can use informal language. But if they are writing to apply for a job, then obviously a letter to apply for a job, then they need to use formal language. So apply for a job is the papers, the format is a letter, and then the audience is like, a boss in some company, so they need to use a different language, obviously. And then in extended writing, candidates will choose one of the 3 topics. So they have a choice. They have 3 topics, and then they choose one that they need to write. So the topics could be 1 narrative, 1 descriptive, 1 argumentative or discursive topic, all right, where they need to narrate a story or describe a situation, whatever, describe something or argue about something, give their point of view about a certain topic. And then they will need to write approximately 200 to 250 words of continuous prose in response to short stimuli. All right, that's now the writing part in paper 1 of the reading and writing. So paper 1, which is reading and writing, is combined. So far, do you have questions? All right, when it comes to assessment, so obviously here this is not clear. I'll suggest that you go and look at it in your syllabus. So here we have marking grid. We have been talking about marking grid, like marking grid or marking rubric. So this is more of a marking rubric that is used to assess guided writing. We have extended writing, and then we have got guided writing. So this is how to assess extended writing. They look at the content, which is the relevance, development of ideas. And then we have got language, which looks at style and accuracy. And here they've described like how do they get 8 points, which is max for content, 6.7 points, 5 to 4 to 5, 5 to 4 points, 3 to 2 points, 1 to 0 points. So they have described that. You should know that because it's also going to guide you when you assess your students' essay. You can use the same guide. Do you understand? But maybe also modify it to be more specific for the type of writing that you're going to do with your learners. All right, and then language, style and accuracy. So this is also how to guide to give them points. So you can use this. And then for your everyday lesson, but I think when you give your learners essays, structure it in this type of way, like the examination, so that they get used to writing for the examination. And then when they go right, even if they do process writing, when they go in the examination, they know about how they're going to be assessing the examination. All right, so for your assessment you can use the similar type of rubric, but you need to modify it for the type of text that you are going to give them. You cannot just use it as it is, because this one is a generic one. And then next, for the extended writing, so this is how they assess. They also look at content, relevance, and development of ideas. And then they also, which is like 10 points. And then language and style is also 10 points. And then they describe how to get these 10 points. So this is the generic one. You can always specify it for your writing, as I've mentioned. And remember that in the guided writing, their points is 15. In the extended writing, their points the total points that they can get is 20. That we've come to the end of part 5 of teaching writing. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, all is clear. That's great. So if you have no questions, then you should be ready for the test soon. Okay, get yourself ready because we have come to the end of our lesson and Unit 7. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.